I'd like to convene the November regular school board meeting. And in opening, I would prefer to have the moment of silence and the Pledge of Allegiance on honoring our veterans and service people, since this is Veterans Day, and I know there's a number of them in the audience. So first, we will have our moment of silence, and then I will ask all veterans to stand so that we can recognize them, and then we will do the pledge. So one moment of silence, please. Any veteran in the audience, would you please stand up so we could recognize you? Would you please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? And Dr. Brads, would you lead us?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. At this time, we will have the approval of the agenda. Is there a motion to approve?
So move.
Second.
And any discussion on the agenda or changes wish to be made? Hearing none, we will vote. All those in favor of the agenda going forward, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Now we will begin our presentation recognitions. Mrs. Hutchins will represent the board on the floor for those awards, and Dr. Bopp will be presenting them to us.
Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the board, Dr. Brads. I'm here tonight to recognize Eastern View High School students who have earned National AP Scholar Awards for their performance on 2024 Advanced Placement exams. These students have excelled in challenging coursework and achieved scores that distinguish them among the top students nationwide. And speaking as their principal, they're also some of the nicest students in our building. There are 3 award levels: AP Scholar with Honor, and AP Scholar with Distinction. For the students who are here with us tonight, the first award designation is AP Scholar. This award is granted to students who receive scores of 3 or higher on 3 or more AP exams. And tonight we have Jaden Newble here. We're going to have all 3 come up, and then we're going to take their picture. Yeah. Oh, okay, hold on. I didn't see that. Yeah.
Okay.
Next, AP Scholar with Distinction. This award is granted to students who receive an average score of at least 3.5 on all AP exams taken and scores of 3 or higher on 5 or more AP exams. And tonight we have Amelia Hoover and Peter Nunyuk. In addition to the students who are here tonight, EVHS had 8 students from the class of 2024 who earned AP Scholar Awards. We've also recently been notified that Amelia and Peter have received the designation of commended students in the National Merit Scholarship Program and received letters of commendation. This means their scores were in the top 2 to 3% nationwide on the PSAT test. Let's give them another round of applause. Thank you.
At this time, we will have the Chamber of Commerce Award.
Good evening, Madam Chair, Dr. Brads, members of the board. I'm here with exciting news. On Thursday evening at the annual Chamber of Commerce banquet, Culpeper County Public Schools received the Culpeper Chamber of Commerce inaugural Business Education Partnership Award. This award was established to celebrate collaboration, innovation, and community involvement between businesses and education entities. CCPS was chosen for this award for demonstrating active partnerships that support student learning and career readiness, creating innovative programs that enhance education, and contributing to the community's well-being by addressing educational needs. In the award presentation, they said the following: for their dedication to workforce readiness, community support, and impactful educational experiences, we are proud to give the Chamber's first ever Business Education Partnership Award to Culpeper County Public Schools. Their investment in our students and the community sets a standard of excellence that is transforming the future of Culpeper. And then they presented Ms. Brown and Dr. Brads and the board with this lovely award. I'll let her.
At this time, we will have the Chesapeake School Public Relations Association Communication Contest Award. Information from Mrs. Metzger.
Good evening, everyone. Another award was given recently. The Chesapeake School Public Relations Association, or CHESPRA, Communications Contest recognizes exemplary communications produced by public school districts in the District of Columbia, Maryland, Virginia, and West Virginia. Awards are presented in 3 categories: print, electronic, and campaign communications. This year, Culpeper County Public Schools received recognition in the electronic category of the CHESPRA Awards for our e-newsletter, the CCPS News. The CCPS News is sent to all employees every Friday at noon and includes a news section showcasing the great things happening in the school division, an employee information section, and a preview of upcoming events. We want to thank Ms. Laura Hoover, our communications director, for all that you do to keep us in the know of everything, and also for showcasing our wonderful staff and students. Congratulations, Laura.
All right, we will move into our CCPS Teacher of the Year recognitions.
Good evening. What a wonderful event we have for everyone tonight. This is one of the chances of the year we get to showcase all of the wonderful teachers that we have in Culpeper County. It's my honor tonight to present the Teachers of the Year for all Culpeper County Public Schools. It is a huge honor to be nominated by your peers and recognized at the district level. After being recognized at the school as a winner, everyone comes to the central office for a meeting. We call it a meeting, it's an interview, where everyone gets to talk about what they've done, their background, what they do every day. And our committee is made up of former winners, retirees, and community members. Each winner tonight will receive an award that has one of our CCPS tumblers with some goodies inside, thank you, as well as $500 to be used in the classroom for instructional supplies, whatever the teacher may need. $500. The district winner will also receive an additional award and an additional $500 for their classroom. Okay, so let's get started this evening. We're going to start with A.G. Richardson, Ms. Erin Henderson, kindergarten teacher. Every day in Mrs. Henderson's class is a learning adventure made all the richer by her amazing life experiences. As a child in an Air Force family, Erin traveled across the Midwest and spent time in Spain before returning to the United States. She graduated from Indiana University of Pennsylvania cum laude with a Bachelor's of Science in Education and obtained her master's degree in education with an endorsement in reading and literacy from Walden University. One of her highlights during her college years was completing her student teaching in Ireland. Erin has been teaching for 17 years. She spent 10 years in Prince William County before taking time off to raise her 3 children. After that, A.G. Richardson was thrilled to have her join the Bulldog family. In her 7 years at AGR, she has embraced all who enter her classroom and make her students feel welcomed, recognized, and appreciated for their effort and hard work. In 2020, she was also awarded the Inclusive Spirit Award from the CCPS Special Education Department. At home, Erin enjoys spending time with her husband, Jeremy, and supporting her children, Ivy, Flynn, and Ruby, in their various sports and activities. She also loves hiking, traveling, and reading. Erin makes a difference in the lives of all of her students. She engages their minds by building their curiosity for learning and feeds their hearts through her welcoming and supportive spirit. She represents the very best of the Bulldog family. Congratulations, Erin. Okay, from Emerald Hill Elementary, we have Teresa Cherney, grade 3 teacher. Congratulations. Teresa has been teaching for 12 years, 6 of which have been at Emerald Hill Elementary. Teresa grew up in Culpeper and graduated from Culpeper County High School. She earned a bachelor's degree and an elementary education teaching certificate from Shepherd University. Teresa is married to Brendan, who also went to Shepherd University. They have 2 children that attend Emerald Hill, Reed in 5th grade and Aubrey in 2nd grade. Teresa's favorite part about teaching is making connections with her students and providing a classroom that is a safe place for them. She loves when former students come to visit and let her know how they are doing. She loves watching students grow and is always looking for ways to become a better teacher. When Teresa isn't teaching, she enjoys spending time with her friends and family, camping, reading on the beach, and running. She has 3 half marathons already on her schedule for the upcoming months. Emerald Hill says thank you to Teresa for her hard work and dedication towards all the students at our school. We are grateful for your impact on our school and the community. Congratulations. A long time. Caroline Breeden from Farmington Elementary School. Caroline is in her 2nd year at Farmington Elementary School as the school counselor. She has been associated with the Culpeper County Public Schools for many years, though. Caroline graduated from James Madison University in 2015 with a degree in social work. In 2017, she was contracted through Health Connect America to be a therapeutic day treatment counselor at Pearl Sample Elementary, working with students needing emotional support. At the end of the year, she left the TDT position to pursue a master's in school counseling from Liberty University. During that program, she served as a counseling intern at Emerald Hill. After a brief stint at a county to the south of us, she joined Farmington Elementary. Caroline has quickly established herself as the go-to person for supporting Farmington students, families, and staff. She coordinates all charitable donations of supplies, clothing, and food, works with teachers to implement the guidance curriculum, and most importantly, she is there whenever a student is in crisis. In addition to the traditional counselor duties, Caroline pitches in wherever she thinks there is a need. More likely than not, if you have seen the Farmington Fox in the last 2 years, you have seen her. She was also in a dunk tank to support the back-to-school bash. Last spring, she and Farmington's behavior interventionist contacted local businesses and gathered prize donations for Teacher Appreciation Week. When she is not at school, she loves to hike, travel, and go to live music events. However, her greatest joy is spending time with her husband and her 2-year-old son. Thank you for everything you do, Caroline. Congratulations. Mrs. Emerald Green from Pearl Sample. Emerald is a second-grade teacher. She was born and raised on the Flathead Native American Reservation in Montana. Emerald has dedicated her life to education. She earned a Bachelor of Science in Elementary Education from Sayish Katanai College and a special education endorsement from the University of Montana Western. She pursued her passion for literacy by obtaining a Master of Education in Literacy Instruction from Graceland University. Her teaching career began at Dayton Elementary School in Montana, where she taught a combined class of K-2 students. She then became a K-2 special education teacher and has been at Pearl Sample Elementary School for 7 years, teaching both second and third grades. Emerald is active in her community, participating in various volunteer opportunities at Pearl Sample, including the Awards Committee, Bingo, and Back to School Bash. Emerald is a phenomenal leader at Pearl Sample. She is always supporting her team and Pearl as a whole. Mr. Birch said, "Every day, Emerald Green makes me want to be a better principal. Her value cannot be put into words." Outside of her professional life, she is a proud mother of 2 boys, Nolan and Clyde, with her fiancé, Sean. She enjoys spending quality time with her family, gaming, reading, and bringing laughter to those around her. Her journey reflects a commitment to education, family, and community, shaping the lives of those around her. Thank you, Emerald. Ms. Courtney Sims, third grade teacher from Sycamore Park Elementary. Courtney is currently a third grade teacher at Sycamore Park after teaching kindergarten for the last 3 years. Courtney got her degree from the University of Virginia with a Bachelor of History and a Master of Teaching in Elementary Education. Right out of college, she got a job in her hometown of Goochland, Virginia. Her husband, Corey, grew up in Culpeper, and in 2020, they decided to relocate back to his hometown. Now they are both educators for the county, with Corey teaching at Eastern View. Courtney is one of 5 daughters in her family, and she is known as Aunt Coco by her 13 nieces and nephews. Courtney stays busy taking care of her 2 dogs, and in her free time, she enjoys reading, crocheting, and cooking. She is also working on her reading specialist certificate through Averett University. Teacher of the Year is not the only prestigious recognition Courtney has received from Sycamore Park. She is also the current reigning champ for the Sycamore Park Chili Cook-Off. Mr. McWilliams and the rest of the staff would like to congratulate Courtney on this well-deserved recognition. Along with her responsibilities for her own classroom, Courtney also takes on leadership positions, and she is a resource for her colleagues. She is a dedicated educator who takes pride in helping students reach their full potential. Thank you for all of your hard work. Congratulations. Next is Kelsey Noel from Yale Elementary School. Kelsey is the reading specialist at Yale. Kelsey is an exceptional educator and instructional leader whose dedication to her students and colleagues makes her an invaluable asset to Yale. As a reading specialist, Kelsey not only brings deep expertise in literacy, but also continues to grow and share her knowledge with others. She has a genuine passion for fostering a love of learning in her students and works tirelessly to ensure they succeed. Her approachable and empathetic nature, honed over 11 years as a classroom teacher and reading specialist, makes her a trusted resource for both students and staff. Kelsey's ability to support others, whether through one-on-one student interventions or collaborating with teachers to refine their practice, sets her apart. Kelsey is also an active advocate for literacy education, serving on the board of the Reading League of Virginia to ensure that students across the state have access to the best reading instruction. She is deeply committed to making a difference both in her own school and beyond. Outside of her professional life, Kelsey is a proud graduate of Old Dominion University and a devoted wife to her husband, Chris, and mother to her two daughters, Ellie and Bailey, and her 3 dogs. Despite the demands of her heavy workload, she always finds time to make a personal connection with those around her, whether it's walking a student to class or helping a colleague navigate a new curriculum. Kelsey's combination of professionalism, kindness, and dedication makes her a true reading superhero. We are incredibly fortunate to have her at Yale. Congratulations. All right, moving on to middle school. Our school counselor, director of counseling, Mr. John Bridges. John has been the director of school counseling. He has been there since 2008. Did you forget? All right, all confused. A native of Stafford, Virginia, he is a graduate of Stafford High School. After high school, Mr. Bridges spent 2 years in Santiago, Chile, where he became fluent in Spanish, a skill that allows him to effectively serve CMS's diverse student body, particularly the ESL population. John earned a degree in human development from Brigham Young University and a master's in counselor education from Radford University. Over the years, he has become a trusted advocate for students' academic and emotional well-being. In addition to his counseling role, he has been the voice of CMS Cougars and Culpeper Blue Devils football teams for more than a decade and has announced a variety of other local sporting events, including the Culpeper Special Games. Outside of work, John is an avid pickleball player with the Culpeper Pickleball Club and serves as a Sunday school president for ages 12 and up in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. He enjoys spending time with his wife, Charlissa, and their 2 children, Thomas and Abigail. A passionate sports fan, he is a dedicated supporter of the Washington teams and enjoys volunteering and being with family and friends. Congratulations on the well-deserved honor of being named Culpeper Middle School's Teacher of the Year. Congratulations, John. Mr. Nathan Clough from Floyd T. Benz Middle School. Nathan is a dedicated math teacher at Floyd T. Benz Middle School, where he has been teaching now for over 12 years. With a diverse background, he holds a Bachelor of Science in Civil Engineering from Virginia Tech. Before his career in education, he spent 2 decades in the HVAC industry, specializing in design and sales. He also taught HVAC courses at Germanna Community College for 3 years, bringing real-world experience to the classroom. When he is not teaching, he is deeply involved in his community. He leads music at the Orange Assembly of God and volunteers as a referee for Orange Summer Swim Meets. Nathan has also participated in multiple mission trips to Haiti and Honduras, furthering his passion for service and giving back. Outside of his professional and volunteer work, Nathan is an avid runner, guitarist, and singer. He enjoys playing math games and cherishes every moment with his family. Nathan has been happily married to Liz, his wife, for nearly 29 years and is the proud father of 4 wonderful children. The Floyd T. Benz students and staff are honored to have Mr. Nathan Clough as the Teacher of the Year. Whether in the classroom, the church, or the community, his commitment to service, learning, and family is the heart of everything he does. Congratulations. Okay, from Culpeper County High School, Ms. Brittany Davis Pennell. Brittany is a dedicated educator. She is a special education teacher and has been with us for 27 years in special education across elementary, middle, and high school. This is her 14th year with CCPS, where her high energy and positive attitude have made her a beloved figure in the school community. Brittany holds a Bachelor of Arts from the University of Toledo and a teaching license in special education from Old Dominion University. As a mother of 2, Spencer and Drew, both graduates of CCPS and current VCU students, Brittany is deeply invested in her community. She actively volunteers with local organizations including Parks and Recreation and Blue Ridge Cyclery. She has also served as a board member for the Culpeper Recreation Club, demonstrating her commitment to enhancing the lives of those around her. Something you wouldn't know about Mrs. Davis Panel is she grew up as a high-level figure skater. Also, she worked for 2 years after college with the Student Conservation Association, giving tours in a nature preserve in California, and for the Department of Agriculture at Mount Hood National Forest, educating visitors about the flora and fauna of the biosphere. Known for her infectious enthusiasm, Brittany lights up the hallways with her welcoming smile and outgoing personality. Colleagues appreciate her willingness to jump in and help, whether covering classes, writing IEPs, or tackling any task to support her team. Her collaboration with co-teachers is exemplary, ensuring that all students receive the tailored support they need. Brittany's blend of experience, teamwork, and dedication makes her an invaluable asset to both her students and the CCHS community. She truly embodies the spirit of service and excellence in education. Congratulations, Brittany. Next up, Eastern View High School, Mr. Brent Hartle. Brent is a social studies teacher. He attended East Stroudsburg, University of Pennsylvania, majoring in secondary social studies and geography. He graduated in 2011 and began his education career working as a substitute teacher, coach, and tutor in his hometown until 2015 when he came to Eastern View High School. Brent currently teaches U.S. history and Virginia U.S. government and has worked at Eastern View for the last 10 years. Brent is the instructional team leader for the Social Studies Department and has served in this capacity since 2021. Brent coaches football and track and field at Eastern View. You may also see him driving a bus for various athletic and school events throughout the school year. He coordinates the Red Cross blood drives each semester, along with hosting voter registration drives to promote civic participation. He works with the local bar association to host Law Day each year as a community partnership and outreach opportunity for high school seniors. He loves getting opportunities to see students shine both in the classroom and on the athletic fields. He strives to foster student success by providing students with unique learning experiences that they will remember. In his free time, he enjoys spending time with his friends and family, woodworking, and reading as time allows. His wife is also a teacher who works at Pearl Sample. They have 3 lovely daughters, 2 of which are school-aged and attend Pearl Sample as well. Congratulations. Mr. Jay Cohen from the Culpeper Technical Education Center. Chef Jay has been named C-Tech Teacher of the Year, a testament to his unwavering dedication to his students, colleagues, and the broader community. Jay continually goes above and beyond, not only participating in community events contracted by the Blaze Kitchen, but also volunteering his time for occasions like the annual Veterans Day Luncheon and Community Holiday Dinner. His commitment extends far beyond his required hours, reflecting a deep passion for service that resonates throughout the entire community. Beyond his classroom responsibilities and catering events, Chef consistently supports extracurricular clubs, including assisting with National Technical Honor Society induction ceremonies and HOSA awards. He ensures every detail, handling both presentation and catering needs. Whenever the Career and Technical Education Department hosts events like E Squared, Chef is there to help arrange and present the food, adding the polished touch that elevates each gathering. Jay supports his students through curriculum, but also through opportunities for externships and competitions through FCCLA. He chaperones the state and national FCCLA trips, even if his students do not qualify. He was recognized by the national FCCLA this year, receiving the Master Advisor Award, which celebrates advisors who have demonstrated exceptional dedication and success in guiding their chapters and students towards excellence. Outside of the classroom, Jay is a family man. He loves spending time with his wonderful wife, Melanie, and he is also a proud papa to his grandchildren. C-Tech is proud to recognize Jay as the Teacher of the Year. Congratulations. Okay, from our Phoenix Alternative Education Program, Ms. Maraway Dawson. Maraway is the art teacher. She attended American Intercontinental University in London, England, where she received a bachelor's in art with a concentration in fashion design. She began her career as an assistant designer and briefly worked as a textile designer in Los Angeles. After moving east with her husband Simon and their children, Chloe, Jacob, and Eva Marie, she paused her career to raise her family, who all attended Culpeper County Public Schools. The Dawsons have called Culpeper home for 18 years. Starting as a paraeducator in the Phoenix Alternative Education Program, Maraway is now an art teacher. She is deeply passionate about art and her students' growth, saying, "I get to talk about and make art all day with our amazing students, and I even get to ride bikes most Fridays with our Phoenix Bike Club." Maraway volunteers at Spring Oak Assisted Living and spends her free time with her family. She also enjoys painting landscapes. A colleague said, "Maraway embodies the passion and dedication that define a truly exceptional educator. Her classroom is more than just a place to learn. It is a nurturing environment in which every student is encouraged to express their creative potential." Maraway seizes every opportunity to collaborate on cross-curricular projects. She also spends hours preparing for the Phoenix Art Show, where her students' creativity is seen and celebrated by all. She continuously advocates for her students and creates a supportive atmosphere, allowing students to take risks, express themselves, and grow as artists and individuals. Maraway's love for teaching is evident in everything she does. She inspires not only her students, but also her colleagues with her positive energy, dedication, and unwavering belief in the power of education and creativity. Her passion for art and her deep investment in her students' success make her a teacher who changes lives. Congratulations, Maraway.
Take a picture of the group before she does.
Okay. Mrs. Hoover's going to take a photo before we announce. Who interviewed all of you had a hard time. They said they have been so impressed with everybody, and they were just delighted with everybody who was here. So just know we all appreciate all of you. Tonight's winner of the Teacher of the Year for Culpeper County Public Schools is Ms. Courtney Sims from Sycamore Park Elementary School. There we go. Give her that. Put that there. There we go. Okay, take that. I'm going to put this back for her. Okay, all right. Do you want Derek and Amy too? It's good tears, though. Congratulations to everyone. Thank you all. Can you get it? No, you sit right there. Congratulations. You're well deserved. Thank you, everyone. Thank you all.
All right, we will get back to our program now that Mr. Toller has cleared the room for us. Mr. Toller's report last month, he wasn't able to do it, and so he got the thrill of being able to go after the Teacher of the Year. So this is what you did. You are welcome.
Madam Chair, board members, Dr. Brads, and everybody that's left. This happens to me all the time, by the way. As soon as they see Tollers up, they start fleeing. But last time I stood before you was about a year and a half, maybe a little bit longer ago. And I spent a whole lot of time just telling you how excited I was about the job. That's all over. I've got Courtney excitement about the job now. I am still so thrilled to be a part of Phoenix and appreciate the support not only of the board, but Dr. Brads and his staff. It's making a difference in the lives of our kids. However, last time, I spent a lot of time kind of spinning wheels. I'm locked in. Okay, I've got my one card, and then we'll share a video about Phoenix in order to honor your time with the very busy agenda that you have. So it is a privilege for me to share with you some of the programming and experiences that our students get at Phoenix. I'm going to let you know slide 3, because it's going to move quickly, is a data slide. Do not panic. If you look at the 2 right columns, I'll let you know what it says right now in case you miss it, okay? Over the last 2 years, and we've had 30 plus students, seniors graduate from the program. 2 years ago, 89.5% graduated, and last year, 91% graduated. So I wanted to say that because I'm going to share some of the neat experiences, some of the things outside of the academic setting that our students get to take advantage of. But I wanted you to know that the good work is being done. And I also took a little bit of time on slides 4 and 5 to give you a snapshot of what I think the secret sauce is. And so without any further ado, I think we have a video. Thank you very much. Appreciate you very much.
Anybody have any questions or comments since he fled? And Chuck and I have worked together for a number of years, so it's not like I'm treating him any different than I did any other time.
I wish I could fill in all the blanks about all the neat things, but we don't have time tonight, but please come visit anytime. I'd love to chat with you.
I don't have any questions, but I just want to say that was a great presentation, and I do want to come. I do look forward to coming in and seeing what you're up to.
Thank you. Thank you.
Mr. Toller, I've come a number of times, and I'm always amazed by everything that you do there. The kids are great.
Thank you very much. And I would like to say that Maraway has had her hand in a lot of these things. She really has helped a tremendous amount.
Yes.
Thank you.
And I just wanted to say thank you to you and your students and staff for making such a difference in the lives of students. It really, it's very important, and I appreciate you doing all that hard work with the kids.
Thank you. I will say this, now that you're asking all the questions, you got my motor running a little bit. I went to a regional event, had a chance to share what we do as a division for our students. There's about 20 other programs represented. By far, the support we have in this division, let me back up. I don't know the support, but our program is so comprehensive compared to the ones that were being shared. I really, it blew me away, quite frankly. I was expecting to hear more. We've got a very special program in large part to the support here, and I thank you for that.
Yeah, somebody else.
Slide 3
Yes,
is
ma'am.
impressive.
Oh, thank you. It's not all mine.
That's the data slide.
Yeah, the data
It's
slide. It's not all, just the last two columns are
So,
mine, so.
Yes, the number of credits attempted and earned is very impressive.
Thank you. Yeah, our folks are doing very good work.
I think you can leave.
Thank you.
Thank you for your report. There were no requests to speak, but is there anyone that would like to speak? All right. Consent agenda. The consent agenda includes the minutes from October 14th and October 28th, and our payroll and payment of bills. Is there a motion to accept our consent agenda?
So moved.
Is there- And is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote. All those in favor of the consent agenda, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Passes. Action items. Approval of the revised policy for the use of Culpeper County Public School Facilities, KGBR1, and it's one read pursuant to the School Board Administrative Committee on October 15th. Is there a motion to accept the revisions?
So moved.
Is there a second? Mrs. Pearson was second. Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, action item, approval of the revised school visitors policy, KKBR1, one read pursuant to the School Board Administrative Committee on October 15th, 2024. Is there a motion to accept the revisions?
So move.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? All right, all those in favor of the revisions, vote by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? We have an approval of the school year, actually 2026 budget work session dates. It was added to the agenda kind of late. I'm hoping everyone had seen it, but it mirrors what we've done before. Is there a motion to accept?
So
Moved.
A second?
Second.
And any discussion? All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, we are up to the staff and superintendent's report, and Dr. Brads has an update on school security for us.
Thank you, Madam Chairman, members of the board. I'll go back in time a bit 2018, I think it was about the August timeframe, due to some events in the nation and in the Commonwealth, and our progress towards many items with respect to school security and training, we provided this board an update in 2018 of the progress that we had made, and I will say frankly, how we had been taking advantage of the school safety grant funds and those kinds of things to secure and update our buildings. So we did that back then, and so blink a few times, and here we are a few years later, and we thought it was a good time to do kind of a comprehensive overview because we have really enhanced a number of things that we've already started and added some features. And so rather than me explain that, the folks that put this together and really are hands-on with a lot of this to include, but not limited to, this board support of an employee that monitors our cameras, and Mr. Hunt, and he will be here with this group, but I singled him out because he wanted me to. I'm just kidding. So, so I'll start with Ms. Hoover, I believe, that's going to lead us through this update, school security. I thank you to this team and all of our staff, certainly our building principals and central office staff that collaborates regularly to find ways to improve security and train our folks on that, and to include practicing and drilling with our students. So, Ms. Hoover.
All right, well, thank you. First thing I would like to say is this presentation is a true collaborative effort with those of us who will be speaking tonight, but also many others who contributed, our schools, and we are grateful that we have such a great team to put these things together. And when we're all working together, we are safer as a school community. We'll present tonight our safety school security update in 5 categories: prevention, building and campus security, collaboration with law enforcement and first responders, communication systems, and surveillance systems. And Dr. Hauk will get us started with prevention strategies.
Thank you, Ms. Hoover. Prevention, the best strategy. And there's tend to fall into 3 broad categories. Of course, employee training, the drills where we practice our safety responses, and of course, our safety audits. Okay. Is that? There we go. Okay, thank you, everybody. A little delayed, a little slow like I am these days. Prevention. We all know that having positive relationships and open communication are the foundation of any relationship, particularly when we're talking about relationships with hundreds of staff and thousands of kids. And so we're very proud of our efforts to maintain positive school climates, and about everything we do supports that, from the school counselors to the teachers that you honored earlier tonight and how they relate to their students, and of course our parents, and having those communications, educating our parents about our safety needs and how they can help us is a big part of what we do. This past year, we sent magnets to all the elementary families to kind of explain our safety responses, to get them more familiar so when they hear things, they'll have a better understanding of what may have happened. Of course, our staff, number 1, making sure they're trained, making sure that they know how to respond to situations, and that is an ever-evolving work. Every year, we're tweaking and learning from experiences primarily in other schools when they do have these tragedies to make sure we don't repeat those mistakes. And of course, having law enforcement and our relationships with law enforcement through our MOU and the Sheriff's Office, and more recently expanding the town police and improving those relationships. So those are all things that help us prevent. And one of the things that's most important is reporting. And certainly you may recall back in September, there seemed to be a rash around the country of internet threats. And so our message to the public is this: if you see something, don't repost it, don't repeat it, please report it. So we're going to try to send that message to our students, staff, and parents and community members to please just report what's happening, but reposting things tends to only spread the fear and, of course, the anxiety and uncertainty. So I want to make sure that our public hears that. So please report, don't repost or repeat. Part of our prevention strategies, threat assessment teams. Culpeper started threat assessment training in 2005. before the legislation came out in 2013, which mandated it. So we're well ahead of that as far as having that foundation of conducting the threat assessment, by which, when we have concerning behaviors of a student, there's a team of a law enforcement officer, a principal, of course, a school counselor or school social worker, who are going to analyze that threat and try to see what's the likelihood that threat will be carried out. The vast majority of concerning behaviors or threats our students make are low level. It's evidence of their frustration. They don't have the right words to communicate how they feel. They're angry momentarily, and of course we deal with that. But of course, sometimes we have threats that rise to a medium or higher level, and we have interventions in place for that. But assessing our threats is always the first step, and then having the intervention steps with that to help the kids. And so I'm really proud to say that the work that you've had by hiring behavior interventionists since 2018, having those trained professionals in our schools, not just at elementary, but at all levels since the pandemic, and supporting them through your budget has been critical to another human being in that school with training to help de-escalate kids, to help build those relationships with kids who need just a little bit more than what their teachers can provide at school, has been critical to that. After the pandemic, we were able to use some of the grant money to train up our secondary schools, and our elementary schools had traditionally had a lot of this training in running what we call school behavior teams. So we hired a consultant, and she spent a lot of time embedded in our schools for 2 years of helping our administrators, counselors, to understand how can we better monitor a large student school, such as a middle school or high school, when literally you have over 1,000 students, and keeping track of them. So as you can see on the behavior team, it is a collaborative effort of all the administrators, all the counselors, law enforcement, and our school security officers attend these meetings. And each week they talk about kids that are, so to speak, popping up on their radar, whether that be through office referrals or maybe self-referrals to the counselor, or of course if they've been through the threat assessment. So one of the things we started this year is that each of the threat assessments is now shared with the full behavior team. And the theory behind this being, given a high school, for example, for maybe the threat assessment team to be aware of that concerning behavior is certainly essential. But making sure the other counselors and the other administrators and our law enforcement partners, or everyone's kind of have some knowledge of what had happened maybe the previous week. So sharing that information with the team, we think is critical to prevention and making sure that we're keeping tabs on our kids. And the kids that show up on the behavior team often have a check-in, check-out with a trusted person, trying to build that relationship for those kids that maybe don't have that relationship, or for whatever reason those relationships have become frayed. So the school behavior teams are a kind of relatively new addition that we started since the pandemic to help our students make sure they're getting all the supports they need. And I believe at this point I'll turn it over to Dr. O'Brien.
Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the board. Just real quick, talking about building and campus security. Obviously, there's a lot of things we do in terms of providing the external security for how you get into the building. Note that we have secured vestibules for our visitors at all our schools. We also use our visitor management system. I know I've mentioned that to you in the past as well, where folks scan their ID, and that tells us whether or not they're on any lists that we need to be aware of. So we're very cognizant of who's getting access to our students and into our building. We also have, obviously, badge access as well that we use for our staff, as well as we'll talk a little bit about law enforcement having that as well. Go ahead, you want to go to the next slide? Thanks. We did a lot of work with our digital GPS maps of the buildings where we've taken an outline of what the schools look like. We've put it in, we gave notifications and put these color markings. They help aid our first responders for how they get there. They have this map information so that if you do have an event and you need to bring law enforcement in or emergency services, they will have a plan and they'll have this map already ready to go for them to respond to any kind of emergency or situation in our schools. And then finally, we'll talk a little bit about SSOs and our ballistic film. You got off the stage too soon. It's all good.
I'm sorry about that. I saw that infrastructure. I'm thinking Donovan, because he does most of the work with that with his department. The other thing I want to highlight for the board and, of course, in the public is our armed security officers. In 2018, after the Parkland shooting that spurred a lot of changes, the General Assembly allowed for former law enforcement officers who were hired as our employees, as school security, to carry their firearms. We were the first school division in the Commonwealth to actually hire these individuals and arm them. Since that time, they maintain their firearms training and certification with the Sheriff's Office. They go and do some of the mock exercises as well with the Sheriff's Office. And quite frankly, at the time, a lot of people were uncomfortable with that notion. We were the first because some counties didn't think having more armed folks was the idea. I think time has borne us out that it was the correct idea. They are certainly a deterrent, and they've never, ever had to pull their weapon, but certainly we know that you never know when you're going to need a good guy with a gun. And so I'm very proud to have been part of the initiative to arm the first school security officers in the Commonwealth. The other thing that we've done is ballistic film on glass exterior walls. I mentioned earlier, we try to learn from the sad events in other places. Well, being able to shoot out glass doors is something that sometimes mass shooters and intruders have done. So we have added this film that makes it very difficult for them to be able to penetrate it. It'll shatter, but it's not going to fall apart. And we have done this on our glass doors throughout our campuses. Now, we've got locks, shades, and emergency bags. And I think that's still me because I can't see the number on the slide. There's no numbers there, so I messed up. Of course, the most basic thing is keeping people out. Having our classroom doors be able to lock quickly is something we've really worked on with our facility staff over the last 8 years. As you can imagine, we have great variance in the age of our buildings. But for example, Sycamore Park, being the oldest continuously used school in this county, went through a few years ago, and we updated all the doors. And you just think, well, a door is a door. Well, classroom doors are a little different because we want to be able to see inside. So they have these little narrow panes that allow us to be able to peek inside just to kind of monitor what's happening. And then there's a little mesh that makes it difficult to break. It'd be very difficult for someone to break that glass, be able to reach in and unlock the door. Now, we have done a great deal of work in making sure we have quickly secured classroom doors throughout our buildings. And that's not an easy project, very expensive. Of course, having shades. Being able to have shades not only on the windows outside, which is essential, but having shades on some of our classrooms. As you know, they have a lot of glass. And making sure that we can, when we're doing a lockdown, that no one can see in. Even those tiny little windows in the doors, we have Velcro shades on them. So someone cannot see in if we're into a response or what we call a lockdown. And then something else we've implemented is called emergency bags. Every classroom and office suite has an emergency bag, bright red. We tell all the teachers and the substitutes, look on the back of the door, you'll find the emergency bag. Inside that bag, they're going to see the response directions that detail what they should do in different types of situations. Everything from, we have a medical emergency and we're going to stay in place, or if we have a situation, a tornado, and how to do that. Additionally, these response sheets that the staff get in their training, it tells what other staff members are doing. So it's not just what they should do, but it lists what principals should be doing, what our custodial staff is doing, what security is doing, because we know anxiety bores itself out through uncertainty. So in a situation, those teachers, when they have an understanding of what else is happening inside this building, that's going to lower their anxiety, their ability to think and function much better. So we hope that those sheets are being useful to staff. And of course, in addition to that, we have health alerts. We have a number of students who have significant health issues, and we make sure we have a list of those students in that bag as well, so staff can refer to them. If we have an emergency, have to evacuate, we'll have all that information right there in case we need to use it, we evacuate the building. Now, is it Donovan's? Brandon's turn, okay.
Good evening. My name is Brandon Hunt. I am the security technician. Within the last year, we have been working with local law enforcement, the town and the county sheriffs, creating badges for them to access our buildings during an emergency. It allows them to bypass the Knox boxes so they don't have to fondle the keys and everything like that. Our buildings have a lot of entry points with badge swipes, so if an emergency is on the backside of a building, they're able to get in. Throughout my time here, I've been working with security grants to try to have multiple entries at our buildings so they don't have to fondle with the keys and everything like that. And I try to keep in touch with Chad McKnight and then Rebecca at the town to keep active rosters of their employees to see who is coming and who is leaving, so we can disable those badges so that we don't have to worry about that being out there in the public. So yeah, that's. And then we also collaborate with law enforcement over the summer. They do multiple mock exercises, and we have approved access for cameras for them, so it allows them to see potential risks throughout the building, so they use these during those drills. And then we've also implemented a device at the EOC, which allows them to access this device during an emergency. They can see cameras for all of our buildings. I've gone over there during an event, and I've helped them walk through to show how they can use this and relay it to officers on scene, EMS, or anything like that. Also, the sheriffs have their devices, and we have outside Wi-Fi that allows them to pull up the cameras and use it if they need to during emergencies. So that's all I have for that as well.
Next up are our communication systems, and this one, Brandon really should probably still be here because he's instrumental. No, you don't have to get up. He's instrumental in all of these things as well, but we have internal and external public address systems. We've used some of our recent security grant money that he's worked with technology and operations to find places where we can improve those systems, and we have done so recently at Eastern View High School, specifically with the external and internal PA system. The next one, phones in every classroom, with the introduction of the Yonder concept, we have really been making sure that everyone is aware there are phones in every classroom, and maybe we'll have to teach our teenagers how to use a real phone. That's not a cell phone, but they're there, and they are a safety feature. We also have radios that allow direct communication with emergency services, as we demonstrated recently with the red emergency alert button. And we also have in our school buildings internal closed radio systems for school staff to communicate with each other for things that don't need to go out on a public emergency radio. Also, our communication channels that we have: calls, texts, emails, push notifications through our app. We have our live feed, which goes on our website, and we have our social media, which is Facebook, X, and Instagram, and then also our website. And all emergency messages will be sent phone, text, and email if there's a true crisis or emergency. Dr. O'Brien.
All right, welcome back to me. So next I'm going to talk a little bit just about surveillance systems. So the idea is you have active or you have passive. And what that means is, how do we know somebody's in the school? How do we know there's an intruder present? How do we know that there's a risk? And part of deterring that or making that determination is the cameras. And as you can see, we have 680 that we have listed on this presentation, but I can tell you just recently, Mr. Hunt and his crew has added how many? 4 more last weekend. Four more additional cameras in that amount of time. So we are working progressively to identify those areas that we need eyes. And that kind of looking at the surveillance and developing that is all part of the big plan. We also think about what, Dr. Houck talked about. If you see it, don't repost it, report it. Well, where do you see those things? Well, we see them on computers. We see them on postings and things that kids do on computers. So we've really worked hard to make sure that if it's happening on our machines, we can see it. And we have active surveillance on those things. And the software's called Gaggle, I think we mentioned previously. So we're going to get alerts if somebody's making any kind of threatening behaviors on our devices in any kind of forms. We also have these stations set up where the SROs and SSOs can monitor what's happening in their building. They can immediately look up and see on their screen their cameras and what's happening in their building. Next slide. And then finally, my favorite subject, talking a little bit about buses. We do have 5 interior cameras on our school buses. Now, those are passive surveillance, meaning we have to go pull those down to look at them, which takes a little bit of time. But we can, if we're given enough direction. We can grab it actively, but it just takes a little more hoops to jump through. We also have the stop arm cameras. I'll talk a little bit later about how those are going. And of course, GPS tracking on all the buses. So anytime there is an event and a driver were to call in and say they have an emergency, we can pull this up even if they've gone radio dark, meaning they're not communicating with us anymore. We could find the location of that bus down to, within 500 feet of where that bus is at. So all those things assist us in having the right kind of response in the event an emergency is declared. And once again, all our buses have radios. They also have that little red button that if they're ever in trouble, they can hit that as well, and that will help notify authorities that they are in need of assistance immediately. And then I think that's it. Questions?
Are there any questions, concerns, comments? Yes, ma'am.
Thank you for a very, very comprehensive overview of the measures that we go to protect our students and our staff. And I am sure that the majority of the public is not aware of all of the measures that we take. And I'm hoping that folks will see this and understand that we take it as a very serious, high priority for our school system to protect our students. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
I just wanted to thank all of you again for the really hard work, and I think your award, Ms. Hoover, is well received because the communication is so critical to all of this, and I think that all of your colleagues will, attest to the fact of what a great team member you are in helping us to pull all this stuff together, because everyone has their little pieces, and how we're going to communicate it to staff and how we're going to communicate it to parents and to the school board and whoever else is so important. And I was just so impressed when I went to the safety committee meeting and the collaboration that went on between all of you, the law enforcement in the community, the principals, and it was an amazing effort, and just thank you very much.
Anyone else?
Just agree.
All right, well, thank you very much. Instructional report, Division Literacy Plan update, Mrs. Campbell. Welcome.
Thank you, Madam Chair, Dr. Bratz, and the board for a few moments to update you on the Virginia Literacy Act. I want to start tonight by saying what an honor, thank you, what an honor it is to be giving the instruction report tonight. So thank you, Mr. Hallman, on a night where we recognized our fantastic teachers for the instruction that they deliver every single day. It was really an honor to sit back and relax a little bit and get to see them, because I know so many of them, and I've been in their classrooms. They really are amazing. And we have, as you know, additional teachers as well. And on the same night that we were recognizing the people who deliver our great instruction, we were also recognizing some really amazing young adults who have excelled academically beyond, what I would have ever thought about doing when I was probably their age. So, and I would like to think, even though they're probably amazing young adults, who've worked hard, that the instruction that we provided them from kindergarten through 11th, 12th grade have gotten them to where they are. So it is a great night to be giving an instruction report. As you know, the Virginia Literacy Act went into full implementation this year. I want to start by just revisiting our school division literacy, where we said we really understand and embrace literacy as the cornerstone of a student's academic success. And our ultimate goal is to cultivate confident, proficient readers and effective communicators. The Virginia Literacy Act really focuses a little on reading. You'll notice that within our plan and what we do within our schools, we really focus on communication as well, both written and oral. As you know, our division literacy plan was approved in August. I'm going to give you a quick update on how we're doing with implementing what we said we would implement in that plan and what our next steps are. Section 1 was on communication, and we are on track with communicating with what the steps that we said we would take with all of our stakeholders and communicating our vision statement, our division literacy plan, and then we have some additional things we communicate with parents as well that I'll get to a little bit later. We're also on track with sections 2 and 3, which have to do with our high quality instructional materials. The VLA says that we will only be allowed to use state-approved materials. at all tiers of instruction. So we have tier 1, which is what all students receive, and then we have additional layers of instruction for students who are at risk of having reading difficulties. So we've fully implemented the instructional materials that we would need for all students, and we also have provided professional development for our teachers, and all of our teachers who are mandated to receive professional development in evidence-based literacy instruction through the state have been enrolled in their course. Almost all have started, and we've had quite a few that have finished that as well too. One thing about Section 2 to let you know is that we are also in the process, it has to be done by the winter, of adopting an intervention. A reading intervention is instruction that we would use for students who are at risk of reading difficulties. The reason that this is delayed in being adopted and identified is because the state was late in giving the approved list of what could be purchased and used. So across the Commonwealth, everyone's intervention is due in the winter, so we're not behind. Section 4 and Section 5 is where we are currently putting most of our focus and efforts right now, and that is monitoring student progress and monitoring our process as a division in terms of providing effective reading instruction. So what we're doing right now is collecting and monitoring data, analyzing data, reflecting on data, and making adjustments. So we are very heavy into that, both at the student level, and then at the school level, and then at the division level. The winter benchmarking season is coming up. That's December and January for us, so those are very big months. We'll collect data, and we have goals set for students and for schools and such, and we'll see if we are on track using that winter data. Section 6, I'm proud of everything we've done in our division literacy plan, but Section 6 is where we are engaging parents. We have held literacy events. We have surveyed our parents. We've done everything. We've really done a lot of things to collect information from parents and make them feel a part of this. And the parents who have come to the parent events have been very invested and had a lot of questions. And they were thankful for having a plan written out that they could help them understand where should they expect their child to be at the end of the year. It's always a little alarming, I think, as a parent, if you hear that your child could be at risk for a reading difficulty. So they come into the events a little nervous, of course, and unsure, but by the end of the event, we share information with them on, the testing that was done that helped us to create a plan for them. We've given them resources and actual materials to practice with their child at home, and we have time to interact with them and model with that. So those have been all great experiences. One thing we will do to amend our plan is we had stated that we were going to do one big division night, but after working with the 6 elementary schools and their reading specialists, so many of them they wanted it to be very personal to their school. So we decided to do them at the school level versus a division one. So in summary, everything that we were supposed to have implemented by the fall of 2024 is implemented and well on its way. Where we are now is monitoring for our progress and then making adjustments to our plan. Across the Commonwealth, plans are due again by December 6th. So we will resubmit our plan based on information that the state wants. This is for everyone, not just Culpeper. Then we'll monitor our plan, and then we'll resubmit our plan again in June. So that's how this process works. So it's like you have a living document right now, and then by June is when they want you to share your final document, which makes sense because you want to see if what you're doing was working and make adjustments. So we feel like we're well on our way. What we're currently doing right now, again, besides monitoring our plan, is planning for interventions, which ones we'd like to adopt and implement. Planning for 4th through 8th grade because we implement in 4th through 8th grade next year. And then again, revising our DLP, our division literacy plan. Before I take any questions, I do want to say this. So before maybe you thank me for my work, I do want to thank you for your work. I thank you because you are always reminding us and thanking us for the hard and recognizing the hard work that happens. Sometimes, we don't often literacy is one of those things that kind of flies under the rug. You know, it's you know, they're not as fun pictures sometimes to show as some of the creative, you know, events that happen. But we do feel very supported that you understand literacy and that you care about it and that you recognize that there are some really great things being done. So thank you for that. Okay, now I'll take questions.
Any questions, comments, concerns? Everybody good?
Great job. Thank you.
Thank you.
I will say thank you also. Excellent. Thank you. All right. Next up is our finance report by Mr. Dean.
Good evening, Madam Chair, school board members, Dr. Brads. Tonight's update, again, we'll start with our membership. In the month of October, our enrollment leveled off. So what we're going to see is not as much effect on our ADM, our average daily membership. So looking at this slide, you'll see our budget shortfall for the month is 94 members. So what that equates to in state funding is roughly $736,000. So the good news is we cut into the deficit we projected last month. So we dropped it 22 students and then also dropped it another $170,000. So we're moving in the right direction with our enrollment leveling off. What that means is we won't see a bump, not near the bump anymore. And probably the next time we see the number move will be in January when we have early graduation. So, and that'll probably have a negative effect. So this is probably a pretty good number that where we're going to be at. So, so more to come. It's still early, but this is where we're at. Okay. As far as expenditures, but both school operating fund and food service, remarkably, we spent 27%. I don't know how we do that, but $32 million in our school operating fund out of $119 million, and then school food service fund, $1.2 million out of a $4.7 million budget. So more slides to come, but this is consistent and normal. Our expenditures for the month with the school operating fund, again, we spent, as I said earlier, $32 million. It's steady. It's 8% a month, 8 to 9%. You can see that. So the two bookends of the school year, I say that all the time, but you know, July and June, that's where you get the odd percentages, but 8 to 9% is what you can count on. So we have 73% left in the budget, or 86.6 million. So, and this is just another slide. It really shows how consistent our spending is, okay? And this is year over year. You can see we're trailing just a tad bit below last year, which is always good, 27.4% versus 27.5%. But monthly, it's very consistent. Jumping back to food service, you can see here in October, we're at 11%. Again, similar to September, 11%. So what that tells me, looking back at prior years, we spend 9 to 12% a month. So very consistent. So once again, very predictable. And what we always got to keep an eye on here is, do we break even? So this is our first year with free breakfast and lunch. So we have to keep our eye on that going forward. So, any questions?
Any questions, comments? Thank you very much.
Yes. Thank you.
Next up is our operations report by Dr. O'Brien.
Good evening again, Madam Chair, members of the board, Dr. Brads. I'm happy to give you the operations report for October. Well, we did some repairs over at Broman Field. There was an irrigation leak that we got repaired, which they definitely need the water. As you know, it's been pretty dry. There's a note of our work orders for the month of October. We did replace a fan motor at Sycamore Park, and I know previously I reported that we replaced a fan motor. Well, apparently there's 28 fans working in the RTUs on the rooftops at Sycamore Park, so it's not unusual that we had to repair or replace another fan. Just to kind of keep that in mind, because I even talked to my director. I'm like, what am I going to tell them when we say Sycamore Park has another broken fan? So it does happen. We did have some engineers from Fairfax County Public Schools come down to look at CTEC, which was a pretty cool thing for a county as big and a school division as big as Fairfax to come to look at how we do solar. We did have Isaiah from Ascent Engineering there, who kind of walked them and talked a little bit about how we did it. But it was a great opportunity, again, to showcase not only CTEC, but the engineering that went into building that site, that facility. The cell phone tower progress is continuing. We expect there to be testing this week as well. And A.G. Richardson, they had some columns that used to have tile around it, and it's starting to break and chip off, so they've covered it with these stainless steel wraps. Looks a little better, but it also helps to preserve the column and make sure it doesn't come apart. And we did replace the overhead door at CCHS. Here's our food service meal counts, and you just as bend the trend, a la carte's been down over the last year. Well, we know that with kids getting free lunch, that a la carte's really just something that if they want to pay and get something extra, that's when they go to it. We do have a district community eligibility provision of 41.3%. So you can kind of see what that data looks like in terms of being directly certified, which is a good thing, which justifies what we're doing in terms of the free breakfast and the free lunches. The big part economically, of course, is getting our reimbursement for those meals from the federal program. Technology, you see the number of work orders and tasks we have. We are working with Gaggle, which I mentioned previously, which is that monitoring software program. Just keep an eye on what kids are typing and what they're saying on devices controlled by the school division. We also are working at CMS with the renovation, inventorying all the equipment, figuring out how we're going to move that around when the time comes for the actual renovation. That's our Director of Technology working on configuring Sentinel-1, which is another layer of security we have on our network. So he was getting that done previously, working with Carbon Black, which is our antivirus. Transportation, we did get the delivery of 2 new Thomas buses, diesels, 77 passengers. Notice that they now say D155 and D156. That's the trend now because buses can have different kind of what we call power pack behind them. They could be electric, they could be propane, so you might see a bus that says P155 someday, but it's all part of the trend of different kind of fuel sources. Here's our stop arm camera violations. September was a bad month for us. We were at 391 citations, which is the most that I have seen thus far. The approval rate was about 33%, which is about where we expect it to be. I note that the data we collect now from the folks who provide us this information gave us bus patrol, gave us that most of the violations occur around 8 in the morning on a Tuesday. In terms, that's where we get the trend is up at that time. We think it might be just people oversleeping and rushing to get on campus, because most of them are occurring at, it says the block of Lyons Lane, but it's 229. 229 still, Rixieville Road continues to be a trouble area. We talked about North Main Street, but just in general, Rixieville Road, we get a lot of commuters that just don't have the patience. So if I had to stress anywhere or anytime where people need to be cognizant of school buses, it's anywhere on Rixieville Road. That's the area that keeps me up at night. Routing, as of November 8th, where we're at, again, just as Dr. Brad's mentioned before, we're pretty high on the number of students who are riding our buses. In the morning, we're at 74%, and in the afternoon, we've actually ticked up a bit. fall sports are ending, so kids are starting to get back onto the buses, and we'll see how that shifts in December once winter starts to roll around as well. Couple other things, Stop Finder, we're up to, almost 1,350 subscribers, which is the most we ever had. If you recall, when we first rolled this thing out, we maybe had 600 folks on it. So we're getting there, we're advertising it, people are actually seeing it work, and they like it. We have 114 school buses in our fleet. We do have the 2 new buses I just mentioned, and we're working on a grant to get us 4 electric buses. We also did replace the fuel pumps, as you can see on the right. Even though they're not pumps, they're a distribution system, but it is another means for us to track the amount of fuel and the efficiency of how we're doing that, of what bus is using the most gas and why. We also completed, I did the state report. We completed 1.3 million miles last year. The year before, we did 1.1 million. So we increased by about 22%, and I know that always begs the question, wow, why'd we jump so high? Part of it is the number of outplacement programs that we have. Again, we had a bus going to Richmond, we have buses going to Charlottesville, we got vans and buses going to Northern Virginia, to Fairfax, to Springfield. We cover a lot of miles, and those programs tend to go year-round. Okay, I know I went fast because I know it's been a long meeting, but if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Any questions, concern, comments? Yes, Ms. Baker.
Dr. O'Brien, are any of these stop-arm violations by repeat offenders?
That's a good question. I can find out if I look into it, but at this time I can't say for sure.
And if there are, does the fine or the penalty increase if they're repeat
It would,
offenders?
yeah. Yes, ma'am.
And have they ever considered putting law enforcement on the road on 229 where this happens all the time?
Well, that would be something we can suggest, certainly, and see about if we can identify those times and provide them that
Especially
information
Tuesday
and
morning
work
at 8
with them.
o'clock.
Especially Tuesday morning. Yes, ma'am. And again, that's a new set of data that was provided to us from Bus Patrol that we didn't previously have. So that's our first, look at what they're providing.
Thank you.
Absolutely, yes, ma'am.
Anyone else? Yes, ma'am.
I was viewing social media. I know that's a bad thing to do. But I'm curious as to what my neighbors and my constituents are thinking and saying. And one of the things I think that they would love to have is robocalls when there's a broken down bus. Because I think there's been a couple recently, and because parents are trying to get to work and or take other kids to schools or different, like elementary, and they might have some kids at the high school too. But they were saying that if they had a robocall, that would really help them to be able to coordinate and plan.
Yeah, and we do robocalls, automated phone calls, when our buses break down or if they're delayed. We put it at about 10 minutes. If the bus driver says, hey, I'm going to be 15 minutes late, I'm going to be 20 minutes late, then we're going to do this automated phone call.
Okay.
That's going to go to the riders of that bus.
Okay.
All those that have the correct information in our Power School student database.
Right.
That tends to become a little bit of an issue because some parents block our number and then they never get that notification. But we do that. That is a matter of practice and procedure when we know a bus is going to be late. Absolutely.
Very good. So note to parents, update your contact information.
I would say double check and make sure
Double
it's
check.
correct. And then they can always call the transportation office as well if they see the bus is late. And a lot of times we could get on the radio right then and find out where the bus is.
Awesome. Thank you.
And we could see it in our Synovia GPS
Oh,
tracking.
yeah, that's right.
And so can the schools. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you so much.
All right, Ms. Hutchins.
Could you go back to slide 10, which deals with the lunches, the availability or eligibility for
Okay, the CEP?
for the lunches? Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
And could you explain how this compares to the free and reduced lunch, since we are giving away, we're providing free meals? How does this percentage, how do we arrive at this percentage?
Well, the way that Greg does this, as my director of food service, What he looks at is other indications. So if a family, for example, is getting SNAP or something like that, they can use that information to help bolster or put into our numbers why we are meeting that provision. So he's got a method for helping us kind of understand who's eligible and who isn't. But it isn't as clear cut as it was previously,
Right.
with people coming in and actually claiming or applying, even though we still tried to encourage that, if that makes sense.
So do
to
we
have them
feel
notify
like
us.
this is a fairly accurate assessment? Could there be substantially
sir.
more or
Did you
better
want to,
need?
Dr. Bratz?
Yes, ma'am. On direct certifications, this is absolutely accurate. And if you see that the federal government lowered the CEP standard from 40% down to 25%, so as a division, we exceed that at 43. But remember, these are direct certifications and those methods that our food service director receives that information. We do encourage families from time to time to go ahead and fill out the full application because there are other things in the community and for, let's say, college apps and those kinds of things that it might be advantageous for those students to get that. It does not change the percentage. Once you go CEP, CEP says you use the direct certification numbers. So we're in a good place on the direct certification. I feel like it represents, because if you say, well, direct certs are 41%, if you were doing all the free and reduced applications that we did in the past, I'm going to ballpark here, but for the last several years, we were over 50%.
Right.
So 51, 52% plus or minus. So I would say the direct certs are probably 10% off. That's why they lowered it. But the key or the secret sauce here is going to be, as Mr. Dean said, and we're watching this very, very deliberately with our food service budget more than we ever have because we're providing this. We're getting a reimbursement for the meals based on a rate that is that 41.3%. So we're not at that rate of, as a division, let's say 75 or 80%. Now that would be certainly much higher poverty level, much higher direct certification, but you have to get to that level before you get 100% reimbursement for that meal. And that meal includes the cost of labor and those kinds of things. So it will take us a little bit to figure out what is that, as Mr. Dean said, that break-even spot that we don't want to lose money on this. We don't particularly want to make money on this. And we are able to do this because we do have a reserve because we've had a very successful school nutrition program. But what we don't want to do is do this year after year and that all of a sudden, in order to do this, the operating budget has to pick up the slack. That would not be our goal. But I think before that happens with 131 school divisions and most all but one or two qualify for CEP with this going down to 25%, the federal government or more than likely the state's going to have to step up and increase their funding for the school lunch program and the breakfast program that we receive from them now. It's not a great deal of money. So I'd say it's accurate, but we're going to have to wait and see how this thing ends up running this year. Now, I don't want to say that ominously that, well, we're 1 year and done. We're not, because we certainly feel we have the reserves to get through this year if there's a deficit and probably another year. But down the road, we've got to figure out where is the revenue coming from, because providing free breakfast and free lunch is not free. The school division has to cover that with the revenue sources that we get to do that. So thank you for your question.
Thank you
Thank you
very
for your
much.
answer.
Yeah.
All right, anybody else? Questions, concerns, comments? All right.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Dr. O'Brien. All right, we are up to board member comments. We will start with Ms. Hutchins.
Congratulations to all the educators that were honored tonight, and we know that there are hundreds more out there who are equally as amazing, and they're teaching our students every day, and we're very pleased and honored to have them working for us. Attended the reality store, which is always a great time at CTEC for both high schools, opportunity for the students to get a real-life experience. Enjoyed the lunch today at CTEC for veterans and want to extend my appreciation to all the veterans who have served our country, and wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving.
I too want to congratulate our educators who were recognized tonight, and I am sure it was a hard decision to pick just one. I also want to say congratulations to Mrs. Hoover. I've been saying since she got here her first year what a difference she's making and what a good decision it was to have her. So finally it's on a piece of paper, Laura. Congratulations. And again, as always, thank you to everyone for all your hard work.
Let's see if I can mix it up a little bit. This was a wonderful meeting tonight with the awards for students and Teachers of the Year. And wanted to thank CTEC and Chef Jay for that wonderful lunch honoring our veterans. Wanted to also say congratulations to Ms. Hyde's leadership class for being selected to represent CCPS in the 2024 VSBA video contest. I watched a little 30-second video on kindness, and it was absolutely adorable. I loved it. And I wanted to say well done to the Phoenix students for creating and placing their kindness rocks all over town under the direction of the art teacher, Maraway, that was also here and honored tonight. And love to see that our senior football players gave their favorite teachers the I Made an Impact t-shirt. Those were wonderful. We have a High School Musical Junior coming up November 15th at 7 p.m. And the 16th at 2 and 7 p.m. And just want to say happy Thanksgiving. Thanks for all you do.
I'm going to echo the thanks for the Veterans Day ceremony, and I want to give a little shout out to the Sycamore Park Elementary School Choir, who so gratefully and skillfully performed Somewhere Over the Rainbow at the Pamper Me Pink event. That was a great addition to the theme of The Wizard of Oz that night, and I know it was a big deal for all those students to be chaperoned there and brought there by their parents, so thank you. It was very nice. The reality store, again, was an excellent opportunity for us to connect with our students and have them realize it is sometimes difficult to live on a monthly budget. So thank you. And as Thanksgiving's approaching, I just want to thank my colleagues here on the board for helping me feel so welcome and helping me get my feet under me during the start of my career here. So thank you, and I wish all of you a happy Thanksgiving also.
Well, I guess I have to. I could just say ditto, but I better not. I think we should congratulate all of the teachers who were in front of us as being their Teacher of the Year for their school. And I think, with the exception of a few people in the audience, 99% of you are our administration and senior staff. And I think you need a big congratulations too, because you foster a learning environment and you provide very high morale for our staff, and that allows our teachers and students to soar. And I just think Culpeper County Schools offer the best education, and it's thanks to you as well as all of our educators. So thank you very much.
Dr. Brands, did you want to add anything?
Madam Chair, yes, thank you. I don't normally ask to say anything in this segment, but I do want to circle back on something to make sure that I'm clear for the audience here and on TV. In terms of our school lunch program, it's a fabulous program. The community eligibility provision that we've referred to, that's actually what it's called, that's what CEP is. It is absolutely the right thing to do. It is an investment in our students and our families, so to take away that issue, food insecurity or whatever issue, so they come prepared for school and the student is not hungry, it's more difficult to learn, so we're in full favor of that. Yes, some funding formulas may need to change, but we can do this, we should do this, it's the right thing to do, and please be clear, when I say we, I mean the Commonwealth of Virginia. The wealth of the Commonwealth is such that we should be able to feed our children, not leave it to the locality to figure this thing out. So I'm hoping that whatever the participation rates look like, whatever the reimbursement rates look like, that we don't have to go backwards on this, and that the state will step up and fund this much-needed program because it's the right thing to do to provide these breakfast and lunches to our students. So I just want to be clear about that. Thank you.
Thank you. I would like to reiterate everything that has been said up here. Thanksgiving is coming up, and I believe we are very blessed to live in the community that we live in. Veterans Day is a very important day. I was happy to celebrate it at the CTEC today. My father was a veteran. He had a Purple Heart from having a ship blown up that he was on, and then he wasn't on the ship anymore because there wasn't any ship. So veterans do provide a lot, and we have veterans within our school system, so I would like to reiterate how proud I am, really just to be an American. So thank you. Hope you have a good evening after I read this multitude of things. The committee reports, if anyone's looking for them, are on our agenda tonight or accessible through the website that Culpeper runs. Membership numbers are there. The American Education Week is November 18th through the 22nd. It is also Substitute Appreciation Week. The Maintenance Department Appreciation Week is December 2 through 6. Principal Assistant Principal Appreciation Week is January 13th through 17th. We have a capital planning meeting coming up on November 13th at the school board office at 8:30 a.m. The school board will have its retreat on November 15th at the school board office, beginning at 8:30 a.m. and concluding hopefully at 4 p.m. The CCPS administrative meeting will be November 19th at 8 a.m. at the school board office. The Finance Committee and the regular school board meeting happens again on December 9th. And at this time, I'm going to ask that we be read into closed session.
I move that the school board convene a closed session at 7:43 p.m. to consider the following personnel matters pursuant to the Code of Virginia 2.2-3711A1. The appointment of certified personnel, the appointment of classified personnel, the transfer of classified personnel, the separation of certified personnel, the separation of classified personnel, the approval of instructional supplements for the 2024-2025 school year, the approval of substitutes for the 2024-2025 school year, the approval of 2024-2025 amended winter coaching supplements for CCHS, the approval of 2024-2025 amended winter coaching supplements for EVHS, and the approval of 2024-2025 amended winter coaching supplements for CMS and FTBMS.
Do I have a second? Any discussion? Then we will vote. All those in favor of going into closed session, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? 5-minute break while we go on to closed session.